Welcome, survivors, burnout community, and those just interested. It's Kelly Buboltz, trainer, author, speaker, and your burnout prevention mentor. Burnout is not taboo. It's our reality in this chaotic, fast-paced world. But we're not going to let it drive the narrative to our stories. We're going to do something about it, so let's dig in. Welcome to Think Different, where we're going to be breaking down concepts with the modern day workforce and how employers and leaders and teams can meet them where they're at. If you haven't connected yet, while we're recording these videos, we are multi-streaming across many channels: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and then we will pull audio to Spotify and videos to YouTube. Feel free to comment and we'll reference your questions throughout the video. Now let's dig into today's topic. Today's topic is an interesting one because it's pretty controversial in depending on who you talk to, the employers and industries that you're in. And that's Gen Z. So why your team needs Gen Z and why this video I decided to create is because they're getting kind of a bad rap. And I think that with any generation, a new generation comes in and challenges the status quo. Any generation that comes in starts challenging the traditional methods. As a millennial, I went through the same thing. Traditional ways kind of stood all. We had to continue doing those methods until those methods were broken enough where people are ready for change. But now this change is moving faster than ever. Now this change curve is really rolling. And before you even catch up your breath, catch up with technology, catch up with new software, there's new stuff out. So where I want to go with this, and when I speak on keynotes and at conferences, is to stop this battle on reality. Stop battling change when change is moving faster than ever, when change has been here, but now will be more prevalent in the workforce. And so when we stop battling this reality, we can actually embrace it. When we start understanding each other and the new generations and what they can offer, things get easier. And you don't have to do all the hard things because this new generation can do them for you because they're smart, they're digital, they're born from the technology world from a very young age. So let's dig into why I decided to create this video. There's certainly new content out there, but it's more looking at the weaknesses of Gen Z, where HR and leaders and employers need to start to prepare themselves, and it's being used as a scare tactic. And I don't understand why, because there's so many strengths in Gen Z that we don't realize our life could be a whole lot easier if we could just embrace them. And why this is becoming a bigger subject, and I don't know if really employers in the US realize it, but Gen Z consists of 22% of the labor workforce in 2025. Now, this is from the US Department of Labor this year. They just released 168.7 million people are in the workforce in the US, and 22% of them are Gen Z. That means 22% of them will be in your doors, will be the top talent that you should be recruiting for, will be the people that advance you in technology and integrate your systems and software at ease because they were born into it. The 34% is millennials, 29% is Gen X, and then 15% is boomers. And you're going to see that number decrease pretty fast. And we knew about this a decade ago when looking at workforce trends that from 2023 to 2029, basically you're going to see the mass exit of boomers. Now that happened early, unlike the predictions because of COVID. A lot of boomers retired early. They didn't want to be in the workforce. They didn't want to deal with all those extra policies. Totally hear them. On board with that. Now, you'll see some boomers actually re-entering the workforce because they did not financially plan well to be into retirement. Maybe they're just bored. And there's new opportunities that both millennial and Gen Zs have been fighting for, and that's flexible work schedules. So this episode is not to debunk any myths about Gen Z. This is to talk about why we need to embrace this reality that 22% of the labor force will be Gen Z. Stop fighting it and embrace it. So the first reason, or the first step I want to take on this video is understanding that Gen Z is digital natives, which means it comes natural to them. Technology comes natural to them. Keyboard shortcuts, integration of software, all those thought processes flow naturally to them. Video-based software, training, reach out, and networking comes easy to them. I just hopped on here. I'm recording this video for the YouTube series Think Different, but I'm streaming across 4 channels, and I also have TikTok going live on my phone. I'm using a Stream Deck, which allows me to pop up images really easily, just like gamers do. This is the Gen Z generation where we can actually learn and engage across multiple channels, across multiple avenues and different types of people with ease. And why I want to bring that up is sometimes when we see technology, it's another thing we have to do. It's another thing we have to learn in this ever-changing world. And when you embrace it, when you see that this can actually connect us with different resources, it can connect us in different knowledge avenues, that this can be accessed to everyone. Wow. Like, think about the possibilities that come out of that. So Gen Z has brought us that. Gen Z is helping us integrate multiple channels. I can even bring in different comments from different channels into these videos. Now, because I'm recording and that adds more editing to my plate, we're not going to do that today. But again, do you see the cross collaboration that's happening and the different perspectives that I can bring in just from that integration advancement? And guess what? It was brought to you by Gen Z and those thought minds behind that. So integration of systems and automating such systems is one of the big perks of our digital natives coming in. And it comes with ease because they've been doing it their whole school career, basically. Now, one thing that I also enjoy about Gen Z is they're very value driven. So that means they actually want to work for companies that have social, environmental responsibilities, civil responsibilities. They are making employers step up to the plate for saying what you do what you say. Don't just use it for a marketing kind of tactic. And previous to this, I don't know if you know this, but employers use marketing tactics for recruitment. They like to boast about their brand and all the volunteering that they're doing. Well, from an HR perspective, I'll go to career fairs and I'll talk to some of these companies and then these HR people, and I find out they have to force their employees to go to a food donation center and make lunches for people. They have to force their employees to participate in Habitat for Humanity. They have to force their employees in order to maintain this image. Gen Z doesn't allow that. They're calling it out. They're calling it out on social media. What they call it is social suicide, because once that comes out, it's hard to get your marketing brand back on track. So where this is going is when companies say something, when they market something, they better stand by it. They better be doing it. They better be honest and true and genuine to such marketing tactics. And I love that, because coming from HR, coming from the voice of employees, say what you do what you say when you said you were going to do it. So it's just a quality standard for manufacturing that we should also apply to humans. So this values-driven generation is not only going to call companies out, but they're going to align with companies that are much like-minded to them. And as you know, I'm a burnout guide. And when you get misaligned with your internal values and beliefs and your external, which is what you're doing, your actions, the work that you do, that can also cause burnout, because basically you start to do things that you never wanted to do. You start to just come into work to pay the bills. There's nothing passionate about that. There's no value-driven belief system in that. And a way to get back to energy out of that blah state, out of that energy mode, is to get aligned with your external and your internal forces. And when you do that, you have passion at work. You enjoy going to work. You enjoy your job. You enjoy your team. You come home and you're not exhausted. You're excited. And you have these creative thoughts of what you're going to do tomorrow to enhance things. So I'm driving the workforce towards energy. And of course, misaligned values, beliefs, and maybe where someone's working, not going to feed that energy. So I'm digging this Gen Z generation on being extremely centered in their values and letting that drive versus maybe selling themselves out for big salaries, letting people dictate their life. And so I think we're going to see, even though there's some mental health struggles with this generation from isolation, from the pandemic, from all the change, I think we're going to see a lot of shifts in core alignment and the demands for that. Let's get into Gen Z work style. And I think where some of the misunderstanding comes with Gen Z is their work style is a little different than how it's been. Each generation has its pros. Each generation has its cons. And I'm not downing any of them. I'm just saying we are who we are, how we were raised, the environment that we were in at the time in the workforce. So there's no shame or blame in any of that. Now, the work style of Gen Z is going to be obviously more digital. They're requesting remote work. They're requesting quick chat me instead of sending a long email over and over, back and forth. Just chat me on Teams. So you're going to see more of that. And where this work style can enhance your organization is start moving some projects over to Teams then and have Teams channels. So all that communication and integration is right there in one channel instead of having an email here. And then you have a chat conversation going on over there. And then you also want to set up a quick Zoom call or Teams call over here. And it's kind of messy. So as you find your flow with Gen Z, also know that you can store files, you can do all your meetings, you can manage projects all in one system. As you look at integrating systems, just kind of reference this generation because they're seeing the integration and connection and looking for those efficiencies that they'll be of big value for how workflow and optimization is happening. They're demanding real-time feedback. And I love that because in human resources, having an annual performance review, which has been ineffective for a very long time, and someone who enjoyed real-time feedback because then I can correct behavior or I can refill my hopium cup that I'm doing well. This is now a trending thing in which they want behavior in real time corrected or rewarded, or getting a win more often than that one time a year. And the reason for that is they were born of a changed generation. Things have enhanced so much in their time entering the workforce, even with technology, that having one time a year, technology has changed. Your systems have changed. Your communication tools have changed since then. So real-time feedback, which is those one-on-one meetings, you should be having once a month, hopefully more often for anything that needs behavioral correction. And you will see a trend throughout the year. So it doesn't mean you don't address poor performers. You can still address poor performers and you're going to see the trend that someone is being coached and their behavior is not changing. Okay, now you can address further with disciplinary. If anything, it gives you better documentation and more coaching tools than one time a year. Now that might mean, and this is forward looking, but that might mean you have to adjust probably your compensation structures. So right now it is very common in the traditional scope of the workforce to get a pay raise once a year, and that's during your performance review. I have always seen performance and comp as separate things because at any point in time you could be excelling. That's when you should get paid. At any point in time you just want to do your job. All right, then maybe you don't get a raise at that time. But what I'm saying is I would have loved incremental increases throughout the year versus like one big increase once a year. And the reason for that is it's a constant motivator for one, but I'm getting paid in real time for my efforts. So if I'm putting in a lot of extra effort, I'm getting paid right now versus, oh, you did all this effort for a year and now you get paid. I'm already behind the eight ball. So I like that compounding. There's also incentive type of pay that you can do. Now check on your state labor laws, but say you have a big project, you can establish really clear goals and expectations that if this project rolls out, if this project is successful, if this project then hits this metric, the team gets this bonus. And those little nuggets, that project-based kind of work is super motivating to Gen Z, and it's actually motivating to most humans. So again, get a pulse on your workforce on where the performance review and comp changes you need to make. But the traditional structures aren't working. It's not keeping up with the cost of living. We all know that. I have 3 kids at home, massive grocery bills. It's a little intense to keep up with all the costs of goods right now. So make sure that your workforce isn't making huge concessions just to keep up with daily life and family life. Now, flexible work arrangements, we kind of talked about. Go check out my other YouTube video under Think Different, where it talks about flexible work arrangements, not only with the demand of the workforce, but also daycare challenges. That will continue to be a struggle as daycare centers are unable to financially stay open. So workers are choosing to stay at home, grab flexible work, grab part-time work instead of working full-time in order to manage their families. So make sure that you check out that video. We dig into the flexible work arrangement a little bit more, and Gen Z is looking for that. They do not want the 9 to 5. They want personal freedom, but they are smart and they provide a lot of value. So how can you meet them halfway? Now, I want to talk about a variety of learning opportunities. Historically, traditionally, in the traditional way, we send people to school. We send people to a course. Maybe we'll pay for like an online certification. And then the lucky ones, maybe a membership in their trade or community of their profession. And then the really lucky ones, they actually get to attend those meetings. Coming from HR, I've always had like a SURE membership, an HR professional membership. It was rare that I could even go to meetings, though. In my burnout phase, I never attended any meeting because I wasn't really able to get out of the plant environment. In my last employer where I worked part-time, they actually sponsored my time there because training and development in that area was important to them. So for most HR professionals in my SHARM group, though, they either cannot go to the events or they have to leave halfway through to go back to work. So Gen Z is looking for that learning and development and community environment. So how can your company invest in them to learn, to continue to develop? Because guess what? They're the digital natives. They're the ones who are going to be integrating your software and systems and communication tools the easiest. So yes, you should be investing in them on learning and development like at a fast pace, because one, they can retain and regurgitate out pretty fast, but also these are the people that can implement with ease. So how can you continue to help them grow in this ever-changing world, get them into the digital space, and use that strength instead of having maybe generations. I'm somewhat technological, but send me to like an AI conference and I'm lost again. So again, Gen Z is the one. They're using AI from the get-go. They're using AI as part of their schoolwork. Send them to that conference and you can get probably more bang for your buck in that learning development. The other thing I want to shine light on is a client I was working with, and she was, it was a company, and the marketing specialist was being challenged because she watches a lot of live streams. There's certain avenues that she would watch people record things like I am right now. She would go out to webinars that were just running live and she would be working, but she's watching these lives. And so the leader asked me and she says, Kelly, what should I do with this? Because she's always online. And I said, yeah. And she says, well, I mean, she should be working. And I said, well, what's her job? And she lists out the things in her job. And one of them is to be cutting edge of marketing out on marketing channels, learning branding techniques in a very digital age. And so I said, so is she applying the things she's learning? Is she coming to you with ideas? And she said, yep. I said, is she still getting her regular work done? Yep. So what's the problem? The problem is personal preference. Personal preference in the traditional world is you are working, you are online, your status is green, and you are clicking away, meeting all your metrics. Okay, I agree with meeting your metrics, but everything else, if people want to listen to a podcast while they work, if they want to stream a webinar when they work, if they want to spend their R&D time, their research and development time watching someone stream, and seeing how they do it, seeing how they do all the cool things like, oh, look, my contact information came up in my banner. And now as I talk, it's automated to go back down after 10 seconds. I learned that from watching someone stream. So all these things that we are fighting in reality, the advancements in technology are there right in front of us, streaming for free. But we have to make time for it. We have to allow time for it. And we can't down people for working and learning in a different manner. It's the same thing as online courses. Certainly there's little soft skill things that you lose from in-person to virtual trainings. But look at the doors that have opened with virtual trainings and access to information and access to experts that has opened from online training. You can even go to school out of state and work full time and get a degree because of online training. And I guess I want to have you stop for a moment and realize what is not working because it's not meeting basic expectations or metrics, and what is personal preference. Because personal preference is the thing that I see a lot in programs and working with leaders, that they want the Gen Z generation to work like they did. They want them to think like they do. And that's not the purpose of the value that they bring. They bring something different. They can actually ease your pain in technology and learning if you embrace it. But again, as long as they're meeting their metrics and expectations. The other thing that Gen Z is bringing to the table is company branding and online presence. And what I love about this is it softens the blow of companies that have turnover in a positive manner. So say you have employees that leave every 2 to 3 years. Use them as a brand. They are out there. They're recording videos. They're sharing content on social media. They're commenting, hey, you should go check out this channel. You should go check out this company. Use them as your brand. There's something I talk about in my virtual programs, and this is specific to Gen Z as well, is with a digital generation comes some complications, and that's remote work. That's facilitating meetings when people are distracted with whatever devices, or maybe they're processing claims and inquiries as the meeting's going on. They're not really present. And that's why it's important, and I've integrated this in most of my programs now, is training your facilitators. So if you are a facilitator of a meeting and you're doing them remotely now or virtual, you should have some kind of training, because there are things that come up that you need to navigate and be the person who is moving this meeting along. There are things that come up digitally where you need to get people to reconnect with the meeting because they're distracted with other screens or work or what have you. It makes a difference. It makes a difference if your facilitators are trained. The discussion on time, it will reroute back to productive discussion. It will manage emotional outbursts or allow people to have a voice when you see them getting quiet digitally. They will know how to close the loop of this discussion and have follow-up measures so we can see progress. A facilitator guide training I do in almost all my programs, because I do see the shift in the digital world to dysfunctional meetings, and we want to make sure that the facilitator is guiding that. Some support we can give Gen Z, and hopefully that will deter some of the negative things I'm hearing, is to understand them. I do this through DISC. I'm able to identify in their work style where stressors are, communication hurdles that they're going to have, and opportunities, and where their strengths are, their internal motivators. So regardless of compensation and benefits, what motivates them? How do they want to work? What person and character do they want to be in the team? That can go back to database decisions versus personal decisions. And so DISC is a way to help Gen Z understand themselves and their work style. There's so much noise out on the internet, and so we want to guide them to science-based tools, database tools, credible tools. We want to make sure that we're guiding them through change in a positive manner, helping them experiment by continuous learning and development, helping them experiment with soft skills and conflict through mentorship programs. Mentorship programs are so important because humans can learn faster through community, through like-minded people. And so mentorship is the fastest way for them to learn soft skills. And we've all been to those programs or courses, and you learn a soft skill, you learn emotional intelligence, and then you go back to work, and sometimes people still suck. Establishing a mentorship program will help you incorporate those soft skills in a little bit more of an organic manner. Really, besides some soft skill mentorship development, which everyone could benefit from, helping them through change management in a positive light through learning and development, and then understanding their work style a little bit more, their time wasters through DISC. So again, it's not personal preference. Take that out, use the data. It's a lot less defensive. It's not a weapon. It's now a tool. Really, that's all the things I can think about for support with Gen Z. I think that we're in for a very positive ride, and technology advances that are coming from a workforce that has been through a couple of software integrations, seeing how Gen Z works, how they pull data, how they maneuver data, how they use shortcuts. The efficiencies that we're going to gain is going to be just such a benefit to the workforce that's so overwhelmed. There is a better way. There is talented people to get us to that better way. But in order to do that, we're going to have to think different.
I know you're not lazy. Most people in burnout are high performers, those serving others before themselves. Don't discount this step today, the action in which you focus on your self-growth. Piecing together the puzzle is half the journey. Rediscovering yourself, energy, and establishing new habits is the other. Do not underestimate the untapped inner strength inside you. Explore more resources on my website to move from zombie mode back to liveliness. See you soon.